Welcome everyone, it's Kev, the YouTube audio guy, the YouTube channel for short, informative videos in plain English on how to create clean, creative audio. Alright, in my last video, we used the Scarby Funk guitars to create an electric guitar groove with a custom chord progression. If you haven't seen that video, you can view it and download the session file from my website. Just click on the screen and I'll take you to it. But be sure to come back because today's video is going to unlock some real MIDI magic. Okay, part 2, electric guitar grooves. I want to create an intro groove with a strumming electric guitar plugged into a wah pedal. Now, I actually play guitar, and when I play, I vary the rocking movement of my foot on the wah pedal. Those foot movements cannot be simulated with an auto wah, and they are not random. The specific movements that change every 4 beats. But in this video, I'll show you how to create those movements with Guitar Rig 5. Here's the before. And now, here's the after. Okay, let's break down how I did this. Let's go to our session file. Here's the mixer in our session file. This track is our guitar track, and this track is our drums. Now note that each track is loaded with an instance of Kontakt right here at the top. The guitar track has Scarby Funk guitar loaded into it, and our drum track has Abbey Road Modern Drummer loaded into it, and Native Instruments Solid Bus Comp to give those drums a bit more punch. Now that we have our basic structure, let's break down how I did this as a 4-step process. Step 1, we create a virtual amp for our guitar sound. Step 2, we add our wah pedal and we create the custom movements for our foot rocking that pedal. Step 3, the magic step. A little more on this later. And last but not least, step 4, we drop in our drums. Okay, let's start by opening Guitar Rig 5. Okay, Guitar Rig's open. If Guitar Rig looks something like this and it has a preset loaded, just click on this X in the upper right hand corner. You see it says clear rack, and we clear the rack. Now that it's clear, I'm going to introduce you to an extremely powerful and useful tool, the Master Effects function. A bit later, I'll get deeper into why we're using this, but for now, let's just click here on the Master Effects function to bring it into our rack, and there it is. Now the Master Effects tool is in the rack, and you should see a small triangle right here. If you click on this triangle, you'll see this thin line appear and reappear. We want this thin line to be visible. And now, let's move on to step 1. Let's create our virtual guitar amp. Okay, click on Components, and our component window opens, and we see our component categories. Let's click on Amplifiers. For this guitar groove, I want the classic clean sound of a Fender Reverb amp. So let's select Twang Reverb, and I'll drag it over the thin line in the Master Effects. The line turns yellow, and we drop it inside. I'll now select my tone preset, KK Funk Guitar. User, KK Funk Guitar. This preset's custom, so I'll give you my settings. Pause the video if you need to write them down. Okay, I want a bit more depth to our guitar tone. I've always liked the clean sound of a Fender amp head with a Marshall speaker box, so I'll add a virtual Marshall speaker cabinet. Click right here. I'll select Lead 800, and my Marshall box appears. Volume should be set to -3.0 dB. Now that I'm happy with the guitar tone, let's give it some acoustic realism. Let's return to our components window, close this, select Reverb, Studio Reverb, and let's drag it in. Right here, you see the thin yellow line appear under our amp, and we drop it in. I'll now select my Verb preset. Again, this preset is custom, so I'll show you my settings. Pause if you need a little more time to write them down. Now that we have our sound, let's save it, but not as a standard preset. Let's save it as a Master Effects preset. Go to Master Effects, click on the arrow, select Save As. Let's name it YouTube Audio Guy YTAG Guitar Amp, and press Return. And you see the name now right here. Now that it's saved, let's clear our rack. Click on the X right here in the Master Effects tool, and then click the Master Effects icon right here. Our rack is now cleared. So, step 2, add our wah pedal, and we create the custom pedal movements. Okay, let's go to our components window, let's click filters, And let's scroll down to real wah, and we'll drag that in. Now, a wah pedal in the three-dimensional world is a very simple effect. Most have only two controls, an on-off switch and the rocker pedal that you place your foot on. Wah pedals in Guitar Rig, really no different. Here's our on-off switch, and here's the rocker pedal that you would place your foot on. So, in the down position, that would be with your foot down, up position with your foot up. Okay, the question now is, how do I make specific movements with that pedal, and how do I vary those movements over 2 bars? How? I'll show you how. Let's go back to our components window. Let's close this, and let's go to modifiers, and let's select analog sequencer and drag this in. Okay, here's how the analog sequencer works. Right now I've defaulted to a resolution of a quarter note. I know that because under resolution here, I see quarter note, and I see this little light moving to the beat of a quarter note, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now these sliders here, if I drag on them, to the top is 1, plus 1. If I drag to the bottom, minus 1. If I double click, it's set to 0. So what's happening is as this light moves along, it assumes the value of that slider. And that value is actually represented right here on this meter. Here's where it gets interesting. If I were to click and drag on this, you see a little rectangle appear? I can drag and drop this right on the rocker pedal, and we can see the rocker pedal moving to the value of the slider. So that being said, let's go to a custom wah preset that I've already made, and I need to reattach the slider since I switched presets. And I want to actually set this, which is kind of my center axis position, I want to set this to 9.1%, and there we are. What we just did is we created a 1-bar wah preset. All right, so first, since we have this going, let's click Save As, and I want to save this under a specific name. This is important. I'm going to call this YouTube Audio Guy, or YTAG Wah 1. Click Save. Okay, so here we are. YTAG Audio Guy Wah 1. And now I want to actually go and create a second 2-bar preset. So I've gone to a second preset that I already made, save a little bit of time. Still on 9.1%. And now I want to click Save As again. And that automatically renames itself, just increments it to 2. So I put a space in there and I click Save. So I now have 2 1-bar wah presets, YTAG Wah 1 and YTAG Wah 2. Since I went through those presets kind of fast, again, I'll go ahead and put all my values up of what those sliders were set to. Feel free to pause the video if you need a little more time to write it down. Okay, step 3, the magic step. I want to create a custom category for my wah presets. In the presets window, I'll double click and a new tag appears. Okay, so let's name this wah presets, and I click return, and there we have our wah presets. All right, so now in the search field below, let's type YTAG for YouTube Audio Guy. Here's my 2 wah presets. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to select them, shift click on them both, drag them over the wah presets tag, it turns yellow, and I release it. Okay, so now let's clear that search field. And when I select wah presets, I now have my wah presets isolated. Okay, let's bring back that amp we created. Click on Master Effects, and let's reload under User that YTAG guitar amp. Okay, here's the magic of using Master Effects. I can now switch between my 2 wah presets without losing my amp. Coolest part, I can also switch those presets by sending a MIDI program change command. That's awesome. Let's return to the track window in my DAW software. I've created a MIDI track called Guitar Rig Control right here, and I've routed that track to Guitar Rig. I've already recorded some MIDI program change information that will switch my wah presets on beat 1 of each bar. I'll drop that track in, and here it appears. And you can see it's switching on beat 1 of every bar. There's a program change. And now, step 4. I'll now drop in my drum line. So here's my drums right here, and I have that pre-recorded. So let's drop that in. I want to listen to the guitar with the drums so I can get a sense of how it's going to sit in the mix. Let's return to our Guitar Rig window, press play, and hear that finished track. That's it. Thanks for watching. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.